I'm filming this episode bright and early Wednesday morning, running on fumes and very little sleep, but I'm filled with excitement and pride. This episode's going out tonight, so there might be some updates before then, but as right now, things are looking incredibly positive. We're still waiting on a few swing states and some House seats, but it's clear there's no realistic path for Kamala Harris to secure a victory. That's why they've called it for Trump, and to make the victory even sweeter, looks like Trump could win even more swing states, potentially securing over 300 electoral votes. And if we also pull off a victory in the House, that means the new Republican Party, the new MAGA, will have won the presidency, the Senate, and the House. This isn't just a win, this is historic. Even if we don't quite get the House, which is still very close, especially with the counting in California, this is a monumental leap. Kamala Harris, who was supposed to be the girl boss extraordinaire, didn't even outperform Joe Biden's 2020 results in a single county. Not one. And if you haven't already, go back and watch Jake Tapper's face when he realized this. It's priceless. Let's talk about the flip. This was more than just a sweep. It was a shift. Trump flipped counties and states that no one would have expected. But first, let's pause to acknowledge everyone who went out and voted. We all came out in droves, especially men, which I'm incredibly proud of. That's right, Trump's comeback is complete with a win in Wisconsin, a state he narrowly lost 4 years ago. He is now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms, the first being Grover Cleveland in the late 1800s. Trump overperformed in urban areas, particularly with male voters, proving that the campaign strategy of focusing on men really paid off. Victory shows that the campaign's efforts resonated. Women typically outpace men in voting, but this year, men stepped up and closed the gap. And I'll be honest, at first I questioned the campaign strategy. Focusing so heavily on male voters seemed like a risk. I worried it might alienate middle-of-the-road independent female voters, but as the results rolled in, it became clear that this approach worked without alienating women, especially white women who overwhelmingly supported Trump. In fact, 52% of white women voted for Trump, which is something they can be proud of. Now let's talk about some of the specifics. Some of these stats are just jaw-dropping. For instance, Trump became the first Republican in 100 years to win Fall River, Massachusetts, a post-industrial city with one of the highest Portuguese populations in the country. Between 2012 and 2020, this area shifted 36 points towards the Republican Party. And get this, Trump flipped Starr County, Texas, the longest standing Democrat stronghold in the entire country, which hadn't voted Republican since 1892. Starr County, a 97% Hispanic area, went red. Now let that sink in. And it didn't stop there. Trump also flipped Osceola County in Florida, home to one of the largest Puerto Rican populations outside of Puerto Rico. Remember when the media was up in arms predicting that Trump's remarks about Puerto Rico would lose them votes? Turns out that narrative backfired in a big way. One of the most magical moments for me was watching Florida. Trump flipped Miami-Dade County red for the first time in over 30 years. And let's not forget how quickly Florida counted their votes. They processed millions upon millions of ballots in just 45 minutes. If Florida can manage that, one of the most populous states in the country, then what was Maine doing all night? Were they distracted by lobster? Whatever the case, it's time for other states to take notes. And there's more. Trump flipped Baldwin County, Georgia, which is 41% black. He became the first Republican to win Baldwin since 2004. Flip after flip across demographics and geographic lines, these victories were monumental. These weren't just regular Republican voters. They were first-time voters. Former Democrats, minorities who felt they had been used as pawns by the left. They realized that maybe, just maybe, the narrative they've been fed about Trump wasn't true. Minorities, especially Latino and black voters, showed up for Trump in unprecedented numbers. We're talking about places like the Bronx in New York City, which saw a 21-point swing towards Trump. Queens shifted 20 points in his favor, and Brooklyn shifted 11 points. These are heavily minority areas. 91% of Bronx voters are non-white, 70% in Queens, 51% in Brooklyn. This wasn't just a small bump, this was a movement. Men, African American voters, and Latino voters came out and supported Trump in record-breaking numbers, challenging the narrative that these groups are firmly in the Democratic camp. And outside of just race and ethnicity, we saw Scott Presler and his team of volunteers flip key areas in Pennsylvania. Presler dedicated years of his life to registering voters and engaging communities. Literally moved to Pennsylvania to make this happen. He showed up at gas stations, drove hours to meet with voters, and fought for election integrity at the state level. He deserves immense gratitude. Alongside him, Elon Musk also played a crucial role, rallying for Trump and highlighting the importance of Pennsylvania. When you see the lengths people went to this, let's not forget the Amish. Scott Pressler went out and registered Amish voters, even arranging transportation people went to in order to make this election happen. Truly inspiring. This election saw historic shifts across generations. Gen X delivered for Trump with 53% support, showing that this generation is dedicated to fighting for their values. And Gen Z also stepped up in a big way. Trump received 42% of the Gen Z vote, which is almost a 10-point increase from 2020. Gen Z voters posted pictures, tagged others in their stories, and stayed active all day, showing up in droves to make their voices heard. For many of them, this election wasn't just about political loyalty, it was about securing their future. They voted for the ability to own homes, start families, protect themselves, protect loved ones, and restore law and order, and to build a stable country. Gen Z knew what was at stake, and they showed up. This wasn't just about winning an election, this was about ensuring a future we can be. It may not be the most popular stance in Gen Z. Gen Z voters came out in record numbers to support Trump. Trump won more voters under 30 than any other presidential candidate since 2000. For many, this journey started back in 2020. A single day has gone by since the last election that I haven't thought about what we need in 2024. In 2020, I was fully engaged in politics, even though I lost friends and community connections over this mission to getting this country back on track. That's why I started making videos and why I launched this channel. Every video, every episode, it's all been for this. So yes, today is a day of celebration. We earned a day, it's time to roll up our sleeves and get back to work. Because there is still a country to save. This win is just the beginning. Let's savor this moment, but then let's get ready to keep fighting for the future we want for ourselves and for future generations. Thank you to everyone who believed, showed up, and who fought for this. Let's make the most of this victory because America is worth it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What did you think of the massive Trump win? If you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ledger. As always, support, watching, listening, and we'll see you next time.